It's the intro song. Here.
Facebook, we are back with another episode of Speak It. We're waiting on our intro on the radio, but I'm so glad that you all tuned in. I don't know if y'all can hear my music. We're trying to stream it differently. But welcome back. We had to replace UAPB. We still love you, Jensen. But hello, everybody, come in and take your virtual seats. And remember, the way we give applause on Speak It is through likes and hearts. Let those hearts fly. If you hear anything you like, let's talk. We like to have conversation. We converse. We do not conversate on Speak It. I love you guys. We're getting ready to introduce our guest. HOH. One second. Technical difficulty. I have some reverb on my side. I love how you guys just rock with us here. Hold on the radio side. HOH 77.7. I'm Shulie with Speak It. It is Speak It Thursday, and I'm back for another edition of HBCU Love. Did you go or not? Did your children go or not? And we have our guest. Tonight, we have LeBrandan Jenkins, who is Gram fam.
Gram fam, baby.
Is TSU fam over here. We have Dr. Tia. She is SU fam. And we have Roenia, who is PV A&M. You know. Do you know? Or do you not know? Welcome back. We are here to speak it yet again. Let's see where our audience is from. Everybody tune in. Share it on your Facebooks if you can. We have Houston, Texas in the house. We have Ruston, Louisiana in the house. Gram fam is representing already. We already know this. We know Louisiana. There's Facebook user. We don't know. Houston again. And we have Dallas, Texas. One of our brothers with Sports Talk with Friends. All right, let's get this show on the road. Let's talk. All right, I was listening for my music on the radio side, guys. Sorry if you heard any bit of a delay. Y'all was smiling anyway, because y'all know how to act right. We appreciate it, because last week y'all acted.
Well, you know how we do when we get together.
Appreciate that. All right. Back to it again. We did a review. Let's recap. Let's tell them one of the things that impacted you most about the conversation last week. We'll start out with Miss Southern. Thank you so much. She's here and she's sparkling and bright in one of those blues that they call their school. We love it.
That's that 2020.
We're doing that again, homie.
That's that 2020.
Doing it again. This is the blue. I told you all that last week. I wore the same blue last week.
And what is that blue?
Columbia blue. Thank you.
Is it sky blue?
It's Columbia blue.
This week.
It was last week too.
Real cute.
But one of the best conversations that I had with you all on last week, we started talking about the need to promote our own and making sure that the students who aspire to go to higher learning, a higher institution of learning, that HBCUs are an option, and the fact that we need to definitely put that message out there as much as possible, and make sure that they are informed about what opportunities they have in terms of scholarships or what have you. I really enjoyed that conversation because it's definitely something that needs to take place, and it doesn't. Those conversations don't happen often enough, and so I really appreciated those tidbits that were put out there. And for any parent or person who is mentoring a young male or female, we certainly welcome them to any HBCU and allowing them the opportunity to know that there's an array of institutions out there for them to choose from other than PWIs. And they are high quality.
High quality.
Yes.
All right. So I see Femi. He's on his lunch break. He's a working man. We have Dr. Femi. I'm calling you Femi Rocks because that's your Instagram. But Femi Felix, he is a Texas Southern alum. Femi, tell us, how did you fall in love with TSU?
So just to kind of, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so a little bit of backdrop. I actually went to Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia for my undergrad degree, but TSU kind of has been in my life, my whole life, because my parents actually met there as undergrad students when they first immigrated from Nigeria and back in the 70s. So I was on TSU's campus back when I was a youngster, 3-4 years of age, because both my parents were there for their undergrad and graduate degrees. And so, yeah, TSU has always been kind of my heart. It was kind of a homegoing of sorts to kind of come back full circle and attend pharmacy school there. So, and now fast forward, I'm graduating. I'm working with the degree that I got from I'm working now with the degree that I got from my HBCU, and my bachelor's degree from Emory is sitting in my closet, collecting dust. So
exactly.
So TSU gave me the degree that paid me. My mother is a pharmacist. She graduated from TSU. My dad got his bachelor's and his law degree from TSU. And when it comes to alumni giving, I give to TSU. Like Emory doesn't have. I've never given any money to Emory for my undergrad institution.
That sounds like me.
Yeah, but I've
and me.
Yeah, they've got a big enough endowment. My dollars don't really make a difference there. So, yeah, right. TSU has always been near and dear to my heart, and so that's kind of my story.
And you're sticking to it.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that I have to take this off, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm like back and forth, but it's crazy how we either got a graduate degree from another school that's a PWI, which is what a PWI is real quick for those who don't know. No, predominantly white institution. So those of us who have degrees from predominantly white institutions, I find that we might talk about it, but our love and our hearts, just like Femi said, they're with our HBCUs. I go to homecoming. I went to the University of Memphis for grad school, and I don't even really talk about it. I don't even know if people really know that for real. But the love runs so deep. So with that, real quick, LeBrandan, come on, you got some knowledge, and you and Roenia were going back and forth. It was like a little battle between PV and Grambling.
Well, one of the things that stood out to me the most was the fact that we were able to, being that we all have degrees from PWIs, we were able to articulate the fact that our undergraduate degrees hold just as much weight from HBCU than as compared to PWIs, because there's a misconception that if you graduate from an HBCU, your education is not as powerful. But we have, a pharmacist on here. We have a doctor on here. I'm also in doctoral school. We have a theater art teacher who has performed with some of the best in the world. So those were all products of HBCU. Shulie is a business owner that's doing really well in the city, all HBCUs. So just because we didn't go to the PWIs does not mean that our education has slighted us or hindered us from being at the top of our career. So that was the most powerful part for me.
That's right. Speak on it, Roenia. What do people call you, Ro? I feel like I want to call
They call me Ro. They call me Ro. One of the things that I enjoyed about last week was being able to see the same narrative told by 5 different people. To be able to sit on a panel with Black doctors, Black pharmacists, Black educators, Black business owners, Black people in entertainment, to me, that's priceless. And then they got their degree from a historically Black college university, which means that there is nothing that we cannot do. especially if we support our own HBCUs. Also, I got a chance to speak with LeBrandan before the broadcast, and I told him how impressed that I was with, based on the credentials of everyone still seemed like they were able to be relatable, and that's one of the things that you get from an HBCU. You know how to navigate in the corporate world, but you can still go to the hood and kick it. That's what I like about some of the people that are on the panel here today. Also, it inspired me to want to get out there and research some of the other HBCUs other than Prairie View, because Prairie View might not be a fit for every student, but there is a HBCU out there that will cater to what that student or that prospective student would like to do. Like he was saying, he went to Emory, but he went to Texas Southern to go to pharmacy school, because we know that Texas Southern, they're going to pump out some of the nation's top pharmacists. If you want to go into nursing or architecture or engineering, we know that Prairie View, that's the place to be. So some of the other institutions, I was able to just get an insight of some of the things that they had to offer based on the people that were on the panel last week.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm working this mask, you guys. We're trying to be safe. We're in the middle of COVID. Yeah. And in the studio, it's one of the things that I'm trying to work on. We clean in between, but I have to wear this mask. And it's crazy because I want to talk. Anyway, let's talk about the quality. What do you think is the special thing about your particular university?
Okay, well, Tia and I were talking the other day, right? And no shade to any other of the HBCUs, but it's a little bit of shade. But if certain schools leave the SWAC, there will be no SWAC, right? So the reality of it is, between Grambling, Southern, PV, and Jackson State, we run the SWAC, right? I mean, it's just the reality of it. TSU has some good programs. You do, but it's not a household name. But now, seriously. On a serious note, man, this is the one thing that I've learned about. This is what we benefit from Grambling, right? Think about it. We have our hashtag Gram Fam, right? And there's a reason for that. Yes, Stephanie, that was shade. There's a reason for that, right? Because when you go to Grambling, you are a family, right? You can go anywhere, and you have this you have this G on your chest. You can be a mile away. The first thing somebody's gonna say is, "What's up, Gram Fam?" Because that's what we inhabit, right? Grambling offers 40 degrees for you to graduate with. You can have several doctorates, several master's programs, but at the end of the day, no matter where you graduated from, we are a family. And I think that's what makes us unique. All universities have these things that makes them special, but there is something about being able to call somebody that I've never even came into contact with family. There's something there that says, you know what, you mean something to me because we share this right here, right? And that is what's powerful. That's one of the most powerful things about attending Grambling State University. Someone said, don't forget, what's that school in Mississippi? Which one?
Acorn.
Oh, okay. Acorn. All right,
Acorn.
We got it. All right.
But yes, so what makes your school special? What's that standout thing? Talk to us, Dr. T, about Southern.
Southern has an array of different programs from the bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs. And we also just recently became the first HBCU to do to launch the medical marijuana program. So I just want to throw that out.
Y'all make it illegal. Okay.
We're the only HBCU with its own system. We have a law school. We have a School of Agriculture. We have a Southern University New Orleans, Southern University in Shreveport, and Southern University at Baton Rouge. So
Okay.
And someone said in an array of different blues.
See, why y'all have to keep putting that out there? I'm wearing the same blue that I wore last week.
But you know, y'all band uniforms this
Same
color.
blue that's on the website.
Y'all band uniforms this color.
Don't do that. See, that's how you gotta kick people. Okay, I get it. Whatever. I'm gonna wear the correct blue. I wear the correct blue.
Okay, Femi, we want to hear from you out here on your lunch break. We thank you so much for tuning in to us and representing your job called you, and you're out there making sure that people stay nice and healthy with that good pharmacy degree. So tell us a little bit about what makes TSU special besides, I don't know, y'all think y'all's little homecoming is special, but it's cute.
On that one street. Okay, keep going.
That little picnic or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
I've never been. I look forward to, once all this is over.
You ain't missing nothing to you. You missing nothing. No, nothing.
So TSU, some of the programs that do make us special, law school, third year Marshall, which my father graduated from. I already stated the pharmacy program. TSU actually has an aviation program, and they also have a mass transit program they have with the city of Houston that has started. I was involved in the student government. I was pretty, that program is a relatively new program because I remember it being the talk of student government when I was attending TSU. But those are some of the things that do make TSU special. In our homecoming, Dr. Lane had just got our homecoming. It was, I mean, I think TSU's homecoming is better than PV's. I've been to Prairie View.
Signing off.
I think
I know you're not going to say Southern. Please don't.
I've never been to Southern. I've never been to Southern.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I didn't think you did.
Yeah.
TSU has backyard parties. I went.
Shulie, is there any TSU people in the chat right now chiming in?
Probably not. Y'all don't
even attend y'all on football games.
But seriously, though, we have Dillard University. Maybe they can support you, Femi. But it's all love. And these conversations for those people who are tuning in and you're trying to make a decision. Now, if you try to come against us, we're all going to team up against you.
Correct.
It's all in fun. It's all in love. But what you're hearing is these programs have a history of producing successful Black people. They have anything you want to do, you can find it at an HBCU. And that is the beauty of it. And when it comes to like you said, the sense of family, the sense of support, we got into that last week. But now let's talk a little bit about the enrollment. Mm-hmm. What was your experience like? And what do you think future students need to know to navigate this successfully?
Well, one of the things that students need to know, you have to do your paperwork on time. Mm-hmm. You have to meet deadlines. You can't come in saying, I enrolled June the 1st, but the deadline was March the 1st. So a lot of people are running into issues because their parents didn't do their tax return on time. So therefore, they didn't do the FAFSA on time. And they missed the deadline. So now you're at the back of the line. So it's very important. And that's one of the things that myself and my brother, we learned very quickly at Prairie View. If you do not have your stuff in on time, you will be dropped from the system. Mm-hmm. You won't be able to qualify for that financial aid. And the most important thing is financing and housing at Prairie View. The student body, their consensus is it's a lot more students that are coming to Prairie View. So we have a housing shortage. And because there is a housing shortage, it's other places around town that have housing available and they'll take your financial aid. But if you don't have your financial aid in, how are you going to live? So these are some of the things that you need to take in consideration. Do your paperwork on time.
That makes a difference. Okay. Any suggestions from you? Okay, LeBrandan.
Yes. So one of the things I want to tell the parents to do, and you know, parents take this lightly, right? And so I just want to kind of take it back a little bit. So, and I'm more than sure that pretty much our parents all did the same thing. Before we went to college, our parents took us on college tours, right? So they didn't just ship us off to a university, right? A lot of times they would take us on these campuses so that we could see what the campuses were like, so that we could meet people, so that we could have a connection when we got there, just in case we ran into anything, right? And I think that's advisable for parents, that you make sure that you take an opportunity to take your child to visit the campus, meet somebody on that campus, somebody of importance. It doesn't really need to be somebody of importance, but somebody that you can connect to, that you can call and ask questions prior to you getting there, that may be able to help you along the way, right? Life is about making connections. That's one of the things about networking in an HBCU, right? Is making those connections. But parents expect for the universities to do everything. And at this point, your children are adults, right? So as adults, we have to start helping them learn how to make those adult decisions. So if you can go up there, do a campus tour, call the university, find out when the tours are, take names and numbers of people, emails of people, so that you can reach out to them and say, hey, my son Johnny is having problems with this. Are you able to help me? And then those people will get back with you or say, hey, let me give you this email or let me give you this phone number. That will alleviate a lot of your problems, right? Because you have to think about it like this. School starts August 5th. All the kids are coming down July 31st. So now you're having to deal with thousands of students when you could have alleviated, you could have lessened yourself being out that number had you just made proper connections prior to.
All right. We're going to keep talking on the Facebook side, but we're going to take a commercial break. Tune in to HOH 77.7 to Speak It with your girl Shulie every Thursday. We'll be back after this commercial. All right, guys, so we can keep chatting it up.
So it was a parent that had something to say in the chat. I believe she was on last week. Okay. Did y'all see what she said? I think she said something to the effect of, you can have all of your stuff in on time and you're still going to have issues. Well, guess what? That's life. That's life. And I'm not saying it in a negative way, but learning how to navigate those issues and those problems, having your student make sure that they make those connections, like he was saying. It's somebody on that campus, especially Prairie View, that can help your child out. Again, I'm going to actually give you my email address so that you can email myself. It's methodactress.rt@gmail.com. methodactress.rt@gmail.com. If that parent emails me, I'm going to make sure that I get them in contact with people that are employed on the campus that can make sure that that student has exactly what they need.
Exactly. And then also reaching out to the alumni associations. That's very helpful. Anytime we gave out scholarships, we just did, what was that, 2 weeks ago, LeBrandan?
We
gave out our scholarships and we celebrated. Okay, we're getting ready to come back to commercial. And we celebrated those students who we selected from the Houston area. So we're going to jump back into it in about 20 seconds, and we're going to pick up where we left off about how do we navigate this process. We have something on here. Okay.
One thing also, just to chime in with, I feel almost every HBCU I've seen has programs over the summer where students can move in a little early as well too. I feel if you can get into any, whether it be a Ronald McNair program, a Howard Hughes program, where you can move in a little early, that helped me. That helped me just being able to move in, over the summer, August 1st, July 31st, as opposed to waiting. You beat the rush. You get signed up for your classes a little earlier. So if there's any program where your child can move in a little earlier and get a head start, I think that can help them navigate, get them started on the right foot.
Right.
I agree with that because I was a product of the Upward Bound program, and so that allowed me to be acclimated with the college campus. and it was held at Southern University, and so it was the natural thing for me to do upon graduating from high school is to start attending college there. Also, I think each university has a foundation where you can receive scholarships from as well. And I think a lot of students, because once I became a member of the Jaguar Nation, initially I didn't know a lot about the Southern University System Foundation and the fact that there were scholarships available through that medium. And so I think that it's important that parents are knowledgeable about the fact that there is money available through the foundations as well, and they give a lot of money every year. I mean, I definitely give money, and so does my brother. We both do, and it's beneficial to a lot of the students if they were aware of it. So I just want to mention that also.
Yes, we have Jocelyn Kelly. She says that learning to navigate those issues will help the student become more astute at navigating issues in life. What do you think about how the matriculation at an HBCU, how do you think that really prepares you for life and what you face in the we'll call it the real world, the working world?
All right. Well, speaking from my perspective, right, and so I'll share some realness, right? So being at Grambling, sometimes things were not as easy as what it needed to be, right? So I'll share this story. If my college roommate is on, he'll understand where I'm coming from. But there was this one particular time, right, where someone's girlfriend was trying to talk to me, and he came to the dorm to fight me, right? So, not too much. So my roommate heard me going back and forth with the guy. He came down one stairs. My other partner came down the other stairs, and it was a big old brawl, right? But that lesson right there taught me that everything does not need to be handled by force. There are bigger ways to handle things, right? But I wasn't a kid who grew up like that, but I felt like I was pushed into a corner to where I had to, right? So it taught me, now granted, if you know me, I can still be a piece of work sometimes. It just depends on, how you come at me, right? Not too much. Okay, but what I'm saying is I have learned how to deal with things. I've learned how to deal with people because I didn't get along with every professor, right? I learned how to make the best of situations because, like, for instance, when I ran out of money, my mama wasn't sending me anymore. So I had to learn how to make it work, right? There wasn't a book in the bookstore that I needed for class, and I was on scholarship. I had to find out a way to make it work. So those lessons that I learned in college, as far as being pushed into a corner, not getting along with everyone, not being able to have everything I needed at my fingertips, it's taught me how to make those adjustments in life as an adult. Because as a leader in my building, I can't go off on everybody that pisses me off, right? I have to sometimes suck it up and then figure out a way to deal with it later in a professional way because I like my check coming, you know what I'm saying, on paydays, right? But as a college student, you don't always think about that. But when you sit back and look at that lesson, it's kind of like, okay, I see where this is going. I see how it helped me.
Indeed. Femi, you coming from Emory to TSU and your legacy for sure. Talk to us a little bit about the difference in the experiences and how it prepared you.
So it was tough, a tough adjustment when I first started there. TSU was kind of behind the eight ball when it came to technology, registering for classes, and I had to take some undergrad classes to kind of get my GPA back up, and some prereqs that TSU was requiring. So I was kind of lumped in with undergrad, so I had to go through a very tedious process, and it was frustrating. And I sometimes wondered, like, let me go ahead and just go apply to U of H, just because it was frustrating. But ultimately, TSU actually had a chance to stop by the financial aid building and financial aid and the registrar building, and they've made leaps and bounds. So I would just say that I just had to be patient and just understand that they didn't have the resources that the school I came from had. And I wasn't thinking that at the time because I was in my early 20s. It was kind of hard to wrap my head around it. But a lot of HBCUs just don't have the resources that some of these big research tier 1 universities have. And so you can't, it's an unfair comparison. And so now looking back retrospectively, I'm able to understand that it wasn't, that they didn't, my frustration was just that it was kind of misaligned. It was just TSU didn't have the resources that a university like a top $1 billion, but they made it do what they had. And so it was frustrating. I definitely can't, there's no way to sugarcoat the fact that trying to adjust to the registration process and financial aid process was a handful for me. So
right, but did that have anything to do with the quality of education you received?
Not at all. Not at all. Like in terms of once I actually, the education was it was top flight. It was just getting into the classes, which was gave me some anxiety. But the education, I put my education up that I received at TSU up against anywhere.
That's right.
Anybody. I'm working, at the top institution right now with pharmacists that graduated from UConn, at Yale University. So it's I put where my education up that I received at Texas Southern up against anyone. So the education was A1. It was just the registration process was a little bit behind the 8 ball. But again, I understand now looking back that it was just the lack of resources that they had compared to major top research tier 1 universities. So
indeed.
Can I ask Femi a question real quick, Shulie?
Go right ahead.
Okay, so Femi, let me ask you a question. Do you feel like because your parents were a product of TSU, that's what kind of made you hold it together, right? So basically, like if they had not attended that university, do you feel like you would have felt the same way?
Felt the same way in terms of what regard? Like
as far as like the registration process, like would you have been willing to kind of sit down and kind of deal with that process, or do you think you would have given up?
That's a tough question, to be honest with you. It's a tough. I don't know how. I don't know, to be honest with you. Because I got it accepted into other pharmacy schools in Texas. I got accepted to A&M and I didn't get accepted to U of H, but I got accepted to Texas A&M. I think that definitely had something to do with it. Like when I went to Gray Hall and I saw some of the same professors that recognized my last name from my parents, I think that made me that was cool. Seeing the same classroom my parents took classes in 82, 83 that I remember running around. I think that definitely had a subliminal role in making me be very accommodating and being very understanding. I don't know though. I honestly don't know if I would have. I can't answer your question. I have to think about that one. I don't know if I would have been as accommodating if I didn't have that familial connection. Right.
Well, Jocelyn says that HBCU alum don't give back to the degree that PWI alums do. We get a quality education from our HBCU and need to support them better. Anybody want to speak on that in terms of upgrading our resources and making our universities better for the future?
I can speak on that. As you guys can see, I have on my Prairie View A&M University Marching Storm alumni shirt, in which I am the vice president. And one of the things that we decided to do as an alumni association is provide scholarships for bandsmen, as well as start working on outreach programs that we can do in our communities to help support students that have an interest in music. As well as Prairie View. So one of the things we decided to do was put our resources together. And if we work together collectively, we can sponsor a child. We can give emergency funds. We've given, last year alone at homecoming, we gave $10,000 back to the university. We partnered with Hennessy, which had never been done before. We also partnered with I Love PVU, and we had our own tent and everything. And it was just a group of former students that got together to do this. Now we're moving towards honoring the legacy of our band director who passed away in 2009, Prof. George Edwards. We're going to honor his legacy with an endowment as well as a scholarship. Every year, we want to be able to give back to our university under his name, as well as provide at least a $5,000 to $10,000 scholarship to a student that's already currently attending, as well as students that are incoming. And we also want to provide money to students that are having issues as far as housing. They might need a book. They might need a light bill paid. These are the things that we're able to do because collectively we came together. No one gave us a blueprint. I think we did get a chance to talk with someone from Southern University because they have a very strong alumni. So we were able to be mentored by one of their former band members on how we need to go about structuring our organization so that we're not just only seen, but we're able to give back financially.
Indeed. And it takes us coming together collectively and focusing on building our universities. And hold on, Rocky Road said yes, and give so that your names can be shown. Like, so when you give, make sure that your names show up as donors, and that helps actually for receiving funds from elsewhere too. Go ahead with your piggyback.
I want to piggyback a little bit on what Roenia said, right? Okay. So I had to make a decision. My fraternity meets the same day as my university, right? And so I kind of had to make the decision on where did I want to go, right? Did I want to continue to work in the fraternity, or did I want to go ahead on and give back to my university, right? And so I'm a paid member of Alpha, right? But at the end of the day, I needed to make sure that Grambling got what it needed so that we could continue to produce, right? I never would have wanted to be an Alpha had I not attended Grambling. You understand what I'm saying? So because of Grambling, because I had that experience, because I was able to meet Alphas on the yard, because I was able to have conversations with them before and after I crossed, Grambling still laid that foundation for that. So my choice to give back, to work with the Alumni Association took precedent only because we need to continue that work in order for the universities to function, right? Without these small chapters putting together these big things for those universities, we may end up falling apart. So I think sometimes we have to look at the priority or where the need is, right? I'm not saying there's not a need to work in the fraternity, but what I am saying is that without a college education, you can't even be a part of a Black Greek lettered organization, right? So where do we push to get the foundation? How do we get the students there so they can get the education to become part of these organizations, right? And that's by doing the work, getting the name out there, getting these scholarships out there. Like sometimes you just have to stop and say, okay, you know what? Where can I get the biggest bang for my buck at this time? And then once we get that moving, then we can go back and start working on some of those other things that we're a part of.
Right. And we have a comment from LaToya Irvin. She's Gram Fam and Alpha Theta Soror. Hello. But she said that's not the only way in terms of alumni giving. PWIs get a lot of corporate sponsorship. She said we need to figure out how to tap into those funds because recently we know with Black Lives Matter, we've seen that there are corporations who are donating to HBCUs. And of course, some of them don't get the money. We have larger organizations that get the money or, well, this is my thought though. What do you think? Why do you think the Spelmans and the Howards and the Morehouses get the money?
I'm glad that you actually brought that up because I'll use my brother as an example. He works for BASF and he advocates heavily to BASF give in order for them to give to Southern University. He's there in the trenches making sure that there's money that is being donated to his institution of choice. And that's what a lot of alums are doing across this entire country. And so it's up to us to make sure that if there's an opportunity for a company or an organization that you're working for to give, make sure that they're giving to an HBCU as an institution of choice. And there are also other opportunities that are available, not just through funds. I mean, maybe setting up a career center or something like that within the institution as well. There are various ways that our jobs can provide more opportunities for our institutions, and it doesn't necessarily have to be through actually giving giving funds physically in order to make that happen.
Right.
So I wanted to mention that also.
Yes,
Now,
and Khadijah K. Graham Fam says also that.
Blue.
Wait, hold on, real quick. We have a comment here from Khadijah. I think I missed some shade, but hold on. But Khadijah K. Graham Fam, hey girl, says when alumni give, they should check to see if their jobs match. So you know how you have matching in corporate, right? You can give, and a lot of corporations will match the giving, and that is a really great idea. I know they do that here in Houston, of course, big oil and gas market aside from medical, but they have a giving day. Some corporations do that where whatever the employee signs up for, then they will match the donation.
You know, realistically speaking, and I know this might not go over well with a few alum, but a lot of times, man, when you talk about the Spelmans and the Morehouses, they don't forget that they graduated from Spelman and Morehouse, right? They're more than just a homecoming person. They're more than just a spring fling person, right? They're more than just I see you in the street. They honestly leave that university and they advocate for that university in every shape, form, and fashion, right? There are people that I know specifically that graduated from Grambling that are at the top of some of their careers, but they never talk about Grambling, right? It's like Grambling never existed to them, right? And that kind of circles back to the fact of when we talk about our universities and the experiences that we had, we would not be where we are had we not started at these universities, right? So we can't forget because we've now made it that this has helped us to get to where we are. So we have to start. We can't forget, right? So we have to start giving back, and I think that's what's unfair to the university. We spent years there. We spent all this money there to forget the fact that we've graduated from these prestigious Black universities, right? And yes, some universities are more of a household name, but guess what? We still got that education. So when we sit down and we think about it, man, we can't forget. Like we have to remember and say, okay, you know what? I have made it not only because of my parents, but because of what this institution has instilled in me, right? And so if they did it for me, I need to be able to help them do it for somebody else, right? Because
indeed. And with that, real quick, we're going to go to a commercial break. Keep it locked to HOH 77.7. I'm your girl Shulie with Speak It, and we are talking about our HBCU love. We'll be back in a minute.
LeBrandan, I'm so glad that you brought that up. It was like he was in my head when he was mentioning that, because I swear I was about to say that, you know, there's a big stigma across HBCUs where many may have received a bad experience. However, the institution, that doesn't negate the fact that they poured so much into you. And you got a degree from there, ladies and gentlemen. You received a degree. And so I've even had debates with this on this with my friends when, you know, they're like, you know, I don't want to give to such and such and such and such, but you graduated from there. You didn't get just one degree, you received 2, and some of them received 3. So you cannot say that. You have to think about the future and the fact that what if something were to happen to that institution and you could have done something about it.
Correct.
How would that really make you feel inside? I mean, you just have to have that pride, despite the fact that, you know, there may have been some bad experiences, but you did have some good ones too. Don't say it's all bad, and don't even try to, you know, not mention the fact that you finished from that institution. It's just ridiculous. Not to mention, if you give, it's a tax write-off. You know, you know you need the tax write-off.
Yeah.
So you might as well, if you're going to give to something, you might as well give to Southern University. You can give to Southern.
Really?
Again, let's
from commercial. Give me 1 sec, okay? And then we're going to continue this conversation. We are chatting it up, and Femi is over there working hard, and Roenia is looking snatched.
I was actually looking at something. I wanted to show my camera. I don't know. Can I turn the camera? Can I turn the camera around? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, buddy.
Now, what I was saying, I just looked at this guy's name, right? Kermit Crawford. He was named as he's the president of Walgreens, right? And president of Walgreens, he just retired. Black Enterprise wrote an article about him. And he went to TSU. And I didn't know about this until he graduated from TSU College of Pharmacy 1 year before my mother, right? And I didn't even know about this at all, that the president of Walgreens was a TSU grad until about maybe 2-3 years ago. And I've been a pharmacist for going on 9 years now. And so I think, and I mentioned his name to my mom. My mom was, oh yeah, he graduated a year before me. He graduated 83, I graduated 4. And it just made me think about what you were saying earlier about people not, I don't know if it's a stigma. I don't know if it's the experiences people had. I don't know what it is, but the fact that, again, Walgreens CEO and president was a TSU, HBCU grad, and that wasn't commonly spread at Texas Southern College of Pharmacy. I think that's kind of, I don't know how we can kind of start fixing the problem. I don't know. I know these are all individual problems. Every individual is different in terms of why they don't reach back to the HBCU, or if the HBCU is reaching out to them. I don't know where the disconnect is, but I just definitely think it's an issue and a problem. So when he mentioned that, when my man Graham Fam was mentioning that, it made me kind of just think about that, and it just made me pull up his name on Black Enterprise. So that was all I was looking up.
Indeed, and real quick, Latoya Irvin, again, thank you so much for participating. I love this audience participation. I'm not going to lie, she said, I don't believe Grambling set me up for success, but I bleed black and gold and will go to war for my school. So then if we were to talk about an experience that's different, like you said, how do we promote it? How do we build it? I think about Hillman in terms of, if you started school in the 90s or early 2000s, depends on your age. We're not going to get into all of that. But I remember growing up watching A Different World, and I had this conversation with LeBrandan. Like, seeing that made me want to go to an HBCU, and then you get there. Was it really like Hillman?
Hell no.
No. Thank you, Latoya, because sounds like maybe she didn't have a Hillman experience, but she had an experience. Talk about it.
Listen to me. Ro, you muted, Ro. Unmute yourself.
Unmute, Ro, we want to hear from you.
When I first got to Prairie View, I moved myself down there. No parents. I didn't have the whole pomp and circumstance like my brother. I actually moved myself in because I had to go to band camp. And when I got there, reality hit me real quick. This is not a different world. We were up at 5 o'clock, eating at 6:30. Up at 5, eating at 5:30, and we were running the entire Prairie View campus at 6 a.m. with the head drum major. Crap. So that's what my reality was. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is something that I've never experienced in my life, because I came from a corps style marching band. Now, mind you, I had never experienced anything show style. So when they started teaching me this stuff, I had to quickly adjust. Another thing that I was able to take away from Prairie View that was different was the theater program. I would rehearse 8 and 9 hours, but it equipped me for what I do today, because in the real world, you rehearse 8 to 12 hours. Some days we have tech week, and tech week is from noon until midnight with an hour to 2 hour dinner break. And that's what it is all over the world. So not only did they equip us to be excellent, they equipped us to have stamina. And that's one of the things that I learned, going to Prairie View.
Okay.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Listen, I watched A Different World, and I got to Grambling, and I was looking for the Dwaynes and the Whitleys, and man, I was looking for all of them, and I'm like, man, these people don't exist in real life. I was like, what we eating today? What a man that everybody talk to, they cook, right? And none of that happened. You know what I'm saying? But realistically, when you look at it, college is a different world, right? And I think as a child, we missed that. We were so caught up in the fun of the show, right? But when you really think about it, What's up, T. White? It was a different world, right? Because if you look at the experiences that they learned, those experiences were the same. They may just not have been as heightened as ours were being on the campus, but it definitely did give me a false sense of what college was like, right? I still have all my friends from college. Those kind of things kind of stayed open, but yeah, man, it messed me up bad. Man, I'm hell now.
So I have a question for Southern, Grambling, and Texas Southern. Despite everybody saying that Prairie View is a party school, which I was always working, doing something, how was it on your campus? Because from my mindset, if I could say out of any of the schools that are represented here, Southern was definitely the party school. So tell me a little bit about, what y'all's experience was as far as, just that atmosphere was like on your campus.
I'm not doing it. I'm protecting the innocent. Not doing it. We were of high academic standards. And that's what I'm sticking to.
On Tuesdays.
Every day. That's what I'm sticking to that. No, you're not gonna let me do that. I'm not doing it.
Isn't Boosie a Kappa from SU?
You know the answer to that question. He is not. His brother is.
So I'm not gonna lie to you. Grambling, we partied hard, but everybody that stayed in my dorm, 95% of us graduated because we had balance. That was the thing about it. So you have to realize as a freshman, man, we had this club called the Renaissance.
Freshman year, first party was an Omega party.
Listen, the Renaissance was about the size of the cafeteria, right? But everybody was in the Renaissance. And I'm talking about if you was a freshman, you had to walk down a dark street to get there, right? But you had so much fun, man. You're talking about we had hood events, we had classy events, you know what I'm saying? Those kind of things, you don't go to college not to enjoy yourself, right? I think anybody that goes to college and don't enjoy themselves, they've completely missed out. But you can best bet, as far as myself is concerned, I partied, but you can best bet Monday morning, I was up for class. Sunday, I was in church. You know what I'm saying? Monday morning, I was in class, but I partied Friday and Saturday. I ain't gonna tell that lie. Some people from Southern came down to Grambling to party with me. I ain't gonna call no names.
You didn't invite me, so it wasn't me. I wasn't there.
Tia was there in her flipper blue.
But you were giving me some memories of upscale, because upscale had one way in and one way out. It was a very interesting scenario being in that venue. But anyway, yeah.
Latoya Irvin is having Josephine Johnny.
Latoya, you probably was there that Josephine with me. Josephine Johnny, Lord have mercy.
As usual, I'm loving the conversation, and we're getting down to the bottom of the hour. We have like 4 minutes left on the clock. Yes, thank you for tuning in to HOH 77.7, speaking with Shulie and her guests from TSU, Grambling State University, Prairie View. I'm just gonna call y'all Prairie View A&M University. There it is. I got it. And Southern University. We are having a great time. But as we get ready to close out, I want you to talk to your, 17-year-old self, 18-year-old self, and these students who are thinking about where they're going. Tell them something that they need to know to survive this process, where they can have fun, have that balance, get their work done, and come out and be successful, living their best HBCU lives.
I'll go first. Mom is not going to be there to hold your hand. She's not. You're considered an adult when you step on the yard. And so you have to be responsible. You're responsible for self, making sure that you keep up with your schedule, what classes you have to attend those classes, and making sure that you are staying up on all of your obligations. And I think that if you do that, you'll be okay. Beware of Pretty Wednesday on the yard. It will suck you in quick. Don't major in unionology because that's not a degree.
Amen. Amen.
That is very important. But other than that, if you can do those things, you will be fine. You will be fine. And making sure that you make connections with the right people.
Yeah. Toya Walk says discipline is key. Patience from Rocky Road. Who else? We have time to hear from one more person about this. Quick, real quick. What's that advice?
Okay, I'll go. There's nobody's. Go ahead, Ro.
Get all you can. One of the things I decided to do as a student was, even though I didn't want to do it, I did it. And it has profited me out here in this professional world of entertainment, as well as you're not going to like everybody. You're not going to like all of your professors, but pick their brains, get everything you can get from them, because I promise you, you're going to need a job tomorrow. And some of those same people that you might bump heads with at that university, that's going to be the person that puts you in the door to where you need to be. I'm a witness. It's been times to where I shouldn't even been in the room, but because I had on a Prairie View Marching Storm shirt, I was able to get the job.
Oh, honey. Okay. I'm still trying to figure out who y'all are. Just kidding. Had to get that in real quick at the end. Femi, tell us how to find you on social. Everybody go in real quick and tell us how to find you. Femi, how do they find you on social?
Just Femi Rocks, Femirox. So on IG, and Femi Felix-Ukwu. You have to type it out because it's phonetically, it doesn't sound the same way as when I say it, how you spell it. Yeah, just Femi Rocks on IG. Yeah, gotcha. Appreciate it.
All right. On Facebook, I'm LB Jenkins. On Instagram, I'm Mr. MISTER_DR_LB. Mr._Dr._LB.
Okay, Tia.
On Instagram, I'm Pretty Destiny Doc. And on Facebook, I have 5,000 friends, so it's going to be a challenge.
That's okay. We got you on IG, girl.
Yeah.
Okay, and Roenia, as we get ready to close on out.
Don't follow me, follow Jesus. But if you want to, it is Method Actress Roenia. I am Roenia, and I have Roenia Thompson on Facebook.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to another conversation. They
Shulie,
came to the conversation, spoke it. Hold on, we're going to hold you until after I log off the radio. Give me 1 second. So we're closing out. See, they want to talk, guys. Keep tuning in to HOH 77.7. We have great conversations, and we are out. Until next time, remember to speak and take this information and share it. And as we close, I say Ashe. And then over here on Facebook. Go ahead, Femi.
No, I was just going to say, I didn't know what your target audience was, but one of the most beautiful things, I think it was all displayed through this conversation, is the interconnected and intercollegiate relationships between HBCUs, man. I had no idea what that was about, where even if I see pharmacists from Hampton, like we have a common bond, just on some, we both went, and I think there's nothing you can compare to that from going to PWI. And I had no idea until I went to an HBCU. And that's honestly probably one of the most beautiful things about going to an HBCU. Like I remember, random story. I remember when I first started at TSU, I remember I went to a basketball game and they started singing, "How did we get here?" And I never heard that version. And I never heard that version before. And I was like, how did everybody know the words from the southern side, the TSU side? I was mystified because I had never heard that version in my 24, 25 years of my life. So I just think the interconnected and the intercollegiate relationships between HBCUs, I mean, it's probably the most beautiful thing that that in itself is enough to go to HBCU.
Correct.
And I think the banter we had amongst each other, yeah, it did. It definitely did. So.
I was having a conversation, Femi, last week with a good friend of mine, and she was saying that everything that she experienced at her PWI was real similar to what we experienced at an HBCU. But as I started to think about that conversation, one of the things that happened differently was she went to her university where we were from, right? So she was in the same city we grew up in. So she knew everybody, everything was comfortable for her, right? So of course you're at home, right? You with your friends, you know everybody, you're gonna have those experiences. But going away to a university outside, going away to an HBCU outside of your comfort zone, outside of something that you're familiar with, is a very completely different experience. Like I talked to my roommate the other day, and before we could even get into what he wanted to talk about, we automatically went back to when we were living together and talking about stuff that happened in the room, happened in the dorm. We got to go, Shulie.
Yeah, we got to go real quick. So I'm going to sign off. Here we go. So here, look at this. We need to hear from the panel again. Like, we can't get enough. We could talk about it forever. There's so much to this experience. We're going to bring it back. I don't know about next week. We need to talk about some other things, but we will come back. Let us know what you want to hear. Thank you all for tuning in on Facebook. Sorry to cut you off, LBJ.
You're good.
This is the union. When we get together, doesn't matter which school you attended. I love y'all.
Love you, dog. Love you. Hey, nice meeting you, man. Nice meeting you.